Hi, this is Alicia with Falcone Family Farm, and I'm going to go over what we feed our rabbits. So with our rabbits, we do have them as meat rabbits, but I tend to focus on giving them a big variety, and I focus more so on nutrition versus getting them fat as quickly as possible. Eventually I would like to show these rabbits, but with today's world events, that's got put on hold, so hopefully next year. But first things first. So these are the pellets we feed, and personally I don't like feeding pellets. I like to try to go as natural as possible, but when you have this many rabbits, it is more of a convenience. And I thought I liked this brand more than I actually do. I could have sworn that it had cleaner ingredients. When I was looking at the back of it, it looked like it had scrap wheat and such mixed in it. But we use the red bag, the Pro, for our bucks or any does that are not currently breeding or in milk, so it's going to be our winter feed when we're not doing any breeding. And then the green bag, the Grow, is for any pregnant, nursing, or baby rabbits. It's got a little bit higher protein content in it. But we just get this from our local feed store. But with everything else that I have been feeding, the rabbits haven't even really been going for these pellets that much. It's more so the babies that are consuming it more than the adults are. It kind of depends on the hay, and we'll cover that next. But yeah, I don't know if this company changed what they're putting in their food, because I could have sworn, especially with the Grow, that it was a greener pellet. And they all just kind of look brown and not as good. But this is what is the best thing that's available in our area. I'm not going to go out of my way to go buy online for a much more expensive pellet. If need be, I can just supplement with, we feed our goats alfalfa pellets, and that's basically what's in these pellets besides the wheat and other ingredients is alfalfa, so I can just supplement them with that, and that is nice and green and healthy. But yeah, moving on. Okay, I apologize if you hear chickens in the background. They decided to go off now. But this is the hay that we feed. We just feed our rabbits whatever the goats are eating currently, and that tends to work out with breeding season and such. This hay actually has more grass in it than the last batch. The last batch of hay that we bought, it looked like it had to have been like 80% alfalfa. And I know you're not supposed to abuse alfalfa with rabbits because it's really rich, but right now it is, our breeding season, and so it works out. And I think that it's the hay that was making the rabbits not really eat the pellets so much. In the pellets, the first ingredient's alfalfa when you do feed it. So I'd rather give them the hay than the pellets. But this next batch that we bought, it looks like it might be about the opposite. It might be like 60% alfalfa and the rest grass. I think they definitely got spoiled on the alfalfa because they've been rejecting a lot of the grass hay with this. But once breeding season is over and there's no more babies and such, we will specifically be buying just a plain old grass. I don't believe it's Timothy grass that's mixed in here. It's going to be either Orchard or Bermuda. But yeah, we'll be getting come winter time just plain old grass hay for them, whether they like it or not, because they won't be having babies or anything, and they won't need that many calories. Now this is something new that I've done this year with the rabbits, is sprouts. And I actually really like it. The rabbits love it. I feel like it's real food versus the pellets, which is more of a fake food. It's like boxed cereal for people. I was sprouting in jars, and that was doing really well. I think once we got hot, it was having trouble. And so these trays, I've noticed, actually work a lot better. But I sprout, this is for the chickens and for the rabbits. And I just do the first day in a jar, and then this is day 2, day 3, day 4, as of tomorrow. I've already given them their sprouts for today, but by tomorrow you'll see green, it'll start turning into like wheatgrass and look a little bit green on the tops. 4 days is as far as I go. I know 7 days is ideal, but I've just got the space for this. I've just found that 4 days works best as a mix for chickens and rabbits, because the chickens, you don't want it getting too grassy or it can potentially impact their crop. So 4 days is just kind of what I've been doing. You can go up to 7 days, and then you'll have like full-on wheatgrass for them, and that's good for them. But yeah, in sprouting them, it turns from a grain to actual, sprouts and green food, and it brings out a lot of the natural nutrients in them. And then something additional that I do is once the day's sprouts is ready, I put whatever I'm going to give the rabbits into a big bowl, and then I mix in moringa. I'll do a tablespoon of moringa leaf powder and a tablespoon of nutritional yeast and a tablespoon of kelp as just kind of an added nutritional bonus for them. I don't do it every day. I'll try to do it more like every other day. If they just had a litter, I will try to give them the moringa. Now with the moringa, I am careful because even with people, you're not supposed to take it while you're pregnant. There's some sort of potential to where you could abort, and so I'm careful about leaving that out in my pregnant does. But on the flip side, once they have had their babies, moringa is supposed to help increase your milk production, and so I do it in the hopes that when they have those large, 10 to 12 kits in a litter, that I'm helping them out with the moringa. And if you don't know about moringa, it's just supposed to be a really healthy plant. We do the moringa leaf powder, not the root or the seeds or anything, just the leaf. And you've got good stuff when it's nice and green colored. So we do that to supplement the rabbits as well. One more thing with the sprouts, I do stack the trays to save space. It makes it a lot easier. And then when I rinse them twice a day, morning and evening. And just start with the top one, and then I've got holes on one side so it can drain to the next one, and the next one, and then dump the water out. And just put this trashy plastic thing on there so it helps keep the moisture in. That's also a reason I only do 4 days, is because when you have it like this, once you go any longer than 4 days, you're going to see some fungus growth and stuff on them, and you don't want that for your rabbits. But I just start with day 2, day 3, and day 4 on the top so that the sprouts can push this light plastic up and I'm not squishing the 4-day-old sprouts. So that's it on that one. So we'll feed different things depending on what the season is. Right now, because it's summertime and things are growing, I feed a lot of the meadow grasses that we have around here. Try to collect sunflowers, dandelions, some of the edible weeds. I'll also use the goats as a means to see what they're eating and what they like, and offer it up to the rabbits. And a lot of times they'll also eat the same stuff. And then with the garden, I'll also try to grow our own lettuces and carrot tops and things that rabbits like to eat. And then come winter time, when everything's dying or dead and there's no gardening, that's where I'll actually go to the supermarket and buy fruits and veggies from there. Fruits, you're only supposed to give it to them like once, twice a week. That's about what we do. And I like to do romaine lettuce, and I love to always include an herb. Even during the summer, I'll sometimes still go and I'll get either cilantro or parsley. Those are the two big ones available to us. And just give them a whole mixture of what I can find. The consistent things I feed is probably the romaine lettuce and the herbs, and then I'll try to mix it up, and maybe we'll do a carrot once or twice a week, or red cabbage, or I've got a post that's got a whole list of what you can feed, and a lot of times we just, as long as it's leafy greens, we'll do that. They like the organic salad greens that come in the tubs. Those are expensive, but worth it. And that about does it for seasonal. Now, as far as things for them to chew on, because I prefer they don't try to chew on parts of their cage or the boxes that I have for them, and it would be expensive to go to the store and buy a $5 rabbit toy for every rabbit. We just try to use what's around us. So we'll try to throw in sticks that still have the bark on them so they can chew it off, or big chunks of bark. And I found out just recently that they absolutely love chewing on pine cones. And then pine needles is less of a chew toy, more of just something I give them occasionally. Pine needles are high in vitamin C, and it acts as kind of a natural dewormer, as we do have our rabbits on the ground, our breeders anyway. And so I just give that to them occasionally. I specifically do this particular one with the big pine needles, because that's the one that I see our goats going after. Because you do have the pine trees that have like the smaller needles on them, but I see the goats go nuts for these big needled ones. And the rabbits also seem to really like these when I toss them in occasionally for them. Not a lot, just every once in a while. It's just something new for them to chew on and naturally deworm them and such. So, and that's about it. An added thing that I'm sure some of you might be wondering is why we don't do rabbit tractors. It just doesn't make sense for our area. The meadows aren't as thick as you might think. It's so much easier to just cut it up and give them each their handful. We have cougars and bears up here, so it would be taking all of our rabbits out into the field, putting them in the tractors, picking them all back up at the end of the day, because we do have, the area here is electrified to keep bears and such out. And I'd love to do tractors, but for us, it's just easier to cut that meadow grass for them. So that about covers it, and because of all those little things that we feed to try and make our rabbits good, healthy, and happy, they take me longer than any other animal that we have to feed out of the chickens, the goats, the dogs, because it probably takes me about an hour each day, if not more, taking care of the rabbits. That's, it's about a half hour for me to feed them, going in and out of their pens to give them water, hay, pellets, sprouts, and then draining and cleaning those sprouts each day. That's probably another 10 minutes. Going into the meadows and cutting the grass takes another 15 or so minutes, depending. And yeah, you add all that up together, and it takes up time, but it's worth it, and I don't mind doing it. And good in, good out. The rabbits are going to be healthier longer if you put the effort in. So I hope you guys liked this video, and we'll see you guys next time.